you first see an organ console like this, it looks a little bit like an airplane cockpit, but that's because there are so many buttons and dials and knobs. At the end of the day, it is still just a pipe organ. Here you have the divisions, they're called, the choir, the positive, the grate, and then over on this side, you have the solo, the swell, and the pedal. The pipes are all behind me here in this screened in area, and you can't really see them unless I turn the lights on, but it's huge. It goes way, way, way up to the top there, and it's full of pipes. The smallest pipes are like a golf pencil. The biggest pipes you could just about fit inside. They're like several stories tall. So basically, when you pull out one of these, which are called stops, then it activates one of the sets, one of the ranks of pipes inside the organ, and then you play it on the keyboard that lines up with it here. Here's the choir, and this bottom keyboard is for the choir. So if I pull out a stop here, and then play on the bottom keyboard, it'll play on the choir. The positive is that same keyboard. The grate goes to the second keyboard up. Then over here, the swell is for the third keyboard up. And then the solo division is up top. Solo has some cool stops on it, like this clarinet. And like this French horn. So, sort of orchestral style. It also has this nuclear option called the trompette en chamade. That is some trumpets that face vertically out into the room, and it's so loud, I don't even know if I should play this. Oh, God. Okay, so then you have all these tabs up here. These are called things like swell to grate, choir to pedal, positive to pedal, solo to choir. And the point is you flip them if you want to put something from one keyboard on another. So if I like this trumpet, which is up on the swell, and I want to put it with something from the grate, I can flip this and say swell to grate, and then the two manuals, the two keyboards will play together. Okay, so then you've got the feet, and you have basically this pedal board where you can play melodies just like you would on a keyboard, except with your feet. And then you have these toe studs and ventals, and those are presets of stops. So I'll explain that in a second. And then in the middle, you have these like gas, brake, and clutch pedal. Those are volume control basically, and they control the volume not by making the organ louder or softer per se, but instead they close some shades that are inside the organ and that surround the pipework, and when the shades close, the organ gets quieter. Okay, so those toe studs have corollaries up here, and these are called pistons. And so you go through and you pick different selections of stops, and then when you set them, and when you hit this, for example, it brings them out here, whatever you've set. That used to be pneumatic. It works in different ways in different instruments. But the point is, you don't have to go through individually and pick every single different stop you want to play. You can just set combinations. Saves you a ton of time. This is an American organ, a very much like typical of the mid-century when it was built. And it basically, kind of like America, is an eclectic blend of things from all over the world. So the swell division is basically inspired by French organs. And you can see the names are names like trompette, montre, flûte à cheminée, and so forth. Whereas the positive is kind of neo-Baroque and German-inspired, so you have like Quintadena, Blockflöte, Zimbel, Cramoine, and so forth. And then the choir is kind of English, so it has these really heavy-duty strings that are really fat and warm and fuzzy. And the names are in English as well. And then the grate is sort of eclectic. The pedal is eclectic. And then you have individual stops on the solo that come from different regions too. There's a little bit of Italian influence, a little bit of earlier French influence, so kind of a blend of things, but over time they've kind of worked on this organ, added a few things here and there to make sure that it had some kind of stylistic integrity on its own. Basically, this organ is really good at playing hymns and playing, accompanying in services. But because it has all these different styles in it, you can also do a great job of repertoire from hundreds of years, from different countries, different styles, and it works really well. It is really huge, but it's not as big as it looks. I would say it's about 90 ranks of pipes or so. But for example, this antiphonal division down here, that doesn't exist. There was always a plan to have pipe organ in the back of the church up there, and it just never got finished. So this would have controlled a whole set of the organ back there. There are also a couple of places where there were blanks or where they were planning to add a couple other stops later. That being said, it's still a really, really large instrument. Also really, really loud because this church so tons of people would sit out there and the bodies absorb a lot of the sound. And also when this organ was built, the room didn't have as much acoustic as it does now. You might be able to hear my voice echoing, and there's several seconds of acoustic. Also, the screen here used to be thicker, and so all these things contribute to the organ being loud. And then also it's just been voiced louder and louder over the years. So right now, if you were to pull out all the stops, it's like, it's almost unbearable here, and you feel the whole floor shake, and it's really an experience. So I'm hoping to do more videos and actually play some music. So comment if there's anything you want me to play or that you want to hear specifically about the organ. And I'll probably put up something soon that's just a demo of me playing a piece I love. So if you like this kind of thing, subscribe to it. And then mainly I'm on TikTok, so at West Piper. So check it out. And subscribe to this if you want.